Hello everyone. For those who don't know me, I'm Kat. I'm a wife, a homeschool mom, and an avid reader. It is June, and I am working my way through some of my summer reading that I want to accomplish, focusing a lot on my bingo board. Currently, I have started an e-arc that is 15 Summers Later by Rayanne Thane. And in this one, we have two sisters that something horrible happened 15 years ago. One sister had moved away, created a life for herself, but when she released her memoir, her husband leaves her because he cannot handle one of the secrets that she revealed. The other sister has opened a animal shelter in her town and is trying to deal with some of the backlash of her sister releasing this book and exposing these secrets to the world. I am enjoying it. I've just read one chapter so far, but I also have a baby blanket that I need to get done before Saturday, and I am just that far. So I got a ways to go on it, and I'm going to just sit back. I'm going to crochet. And while I crochet, I'm actually going to watch Station 11. This was a book by Emily St. Stevens? Emily St. Clair? Not sure. Can't remember exactly which one it is. But in this, we have a flu virus goes through the world and just kills almost everyone. And the survivors kind of band together in communities, and then there is this one community that are a traveling theater production, and their big goal is just to bring some excitement to everyone's lives, give them something to help them forget about the horribleness that had happened. I have finished the first episode, which is the outbreak episode, and I'm starting the second one. We're 2 years later in the story, and I'm a little confused. I haven't read the book for several years, and so I don't remember everything about it. I do remember the big things, and as I'm watching the TV show on HBO Max, things are starting to kind of come back to me. So I'm going to keep watching and crocheting, and I will check in later. I am now 33% or a third of the way through 15 Summers Later, and we're starting to understand some of the things that are going on, or that happened 15 summers earlier, and it is just heartbreaking to know what these two sisters had gone through. But at the same time, the story is not heavy. the everything going on, while there are heavy moments, there are also lighter moments. And so I'm really enjoying what I'm reading so far. I am actually listening to it. This one I had the e-arc for, but it has since been published. It was published, today, actually. So, I'm going to try to finish this today and honor my commitment of putting a blurb out for it. But I am really enjoying what I'm reading so far. While I'm doing this, I did do a load of laundry and did dishes, and I'm making myself some zucchini soup since I'm having to eat a lot of blended foods right now. And that zucchini was starting to look gross. And I knew if I didn't eat it now, it would not be any good for anyone. So, I have that cooking. It's got about another 5 minutes or so before I use my immersion blender and blend it all together. But I'm going to keep listening, and I will check in with you guys in a little bit. I am now 66%. Well, I guess it's really 65. No, it's further than that. It was 65 when I started chapter 22. Now at chapter 23, and really, really enjoying this story. It is heartbreaking at times, but it's also hopeful. And as a person who's dealt with adjacent issues, in this case, it is so nice to see in a book that isn't just all the doom and gloom. These two sisters just really had a horrible situation put on their shoulders and have come out the other side 15 years later to be very strong, independent women who still have trust in the world. Though what they dealt with did not paint everyone as evil and not to be trusted. And so it's really nice to see that in books. Sometimes you'll have that, the theme of childhood trauma, and it just makes the character later on distrustful of everyone. And it's really nice to see a book that mirrors my experience a little better. Because with my trauma as a young adult, after having a loving family come in and support me, I learned that not everyone was that way. And so it was nice to see some of what I have dealt with represented in a book. And I know that representation matters for everyone. And so it's just really neat to see and to know that not everything has to be ugly. Um, Even when we go through ugly times, there's still hope. So I'm going to finish reading this and go from there. I know that I have made progress in my blanket, but at the same time, here I am. I have nearly finished a book and I haven't even finished a skein of yarn. So, um, and for a 3 skein blanket, that would make it a third of the way. So hopefully, by the time I finish the book, then I will have finished this skein of yarn and will feel somewhat productive in the day. The laundry just finished, so I do need to swap that over. But for now, I'm just gonna chill. I'm gonna continue listening to this and see where things go, because there are some elements that are sprinkled in that I really want to see how things shape up. So I will check in with you at the end of the book. Alright, I have picked my next book. I am going to read Summer of Songbirds by Christy Woodson Harvey. This one is a story of a woman who had bought a summer camp years ago, but now she's at risk of losing the camp. And so her niece and a couple of her friends who she met through the camp and have been lifelong friends are now coming together, and the 4 of them are going to do what they can to save the summer camp. Emily Henry gives a little praise for this book. Says The Summer of Songbirds is a warm, hopeful story of friendship, love, and second chances. And so I am going to dive into this one and see what happens at Camp Holly Springs. So I'm about 12% into the book I'm reading. Oh my gosh, how have I forgotten the title? The camp one. Summer of the Songbirds. I'm about 11% into Summer of the Songbirds, and I am enjoying it, but I'm just having a low energy moment. I'm not wanting to listen to my audiobook right now. So I think what I'm going to try to do, I have about an hour before I go to bed. I'm going to do a little crochet and watch an episode of Station 11 before I go to bed and just see where that takes me. I've kind of had this where I'm staying up really late at night and then sleeping in the morning, but I'm not feeling restful. I know some of that has to do with the fact that I'm not moving very much. I'm not able to get a lot of protein in just because having a good protein source has been a little hard to find. That's not the same protein. You know, I've been doing yogurt and cottage cheese, but I'm so over mashed potatoes. It's not even funny. my lunch and dinner today was zucchini soup because I had 3 huge zucchini in the fridge that needed to be eaten. They were on the verge of going bad. And so I'm like, I have to cook these. But I can't really chew anything yet. So I went ahead and made zucchini soup. And super easy, chicken broth, butter, and zucchini along with curry and salt. Curry seasoning and salt. Very easy, very mild. Was able to eat it. For that, I did add cottage cheese to it and puree it. And oh my gosh, it was so creamy and good. Made a wonderful dinner. But because I'm so limited on what I can eat, since I'm not really able to chew a lot right now, I've not been going to the gym. Now, I couldn't go to the gym all last week. We're in the new week. I am cleared to go to the gym, but I get dry socket way too easy for me to feel comfortable until this heals a little more. I probably won't go back to the gym until the end of 2 weeks. So, that being said, I'm low energy and not moving my body enough to really get good sleep. But it is what it is. It's a season. And we'll get through this next week and a couple days and all will be good. But I am going to watch some Station 11 and enjoy that. I've really enjoyed it so far. The one thing with Station 11 TV show that I don't know if I like it or not, but we have these, like, it's almost like the whole book for one character. But the whole series is following Kristen. So but we get like a whole episode will be about Miranda, and the last episode I watched last night was about the prophet before he when he was a kid, when this flu pandemic started. So I'm enjoying it. I'm going to get back to it, and I will check in probably tomorrow morning. I am now 53% into The Summer of Songbirds, and I'm really enjoying this story. We have just gotten to the part where they are working on saving the camp. There's a lot of setup to get to that point. And I think it's just because while the synopsis is that they're trying to save this camp, and you find out that June, the camp owner, and the aunt knows that the camp's in trouble. She doesn't share it with everyone. But there is so much more that plays into this and what's going on in all of their lives at that moment. Kind of how they use this to remind themselves of what's important almost. But I'm really enjoying it. I foresee this being a high, probably 4.5 stars. Unless something drastically just flops. Sorry. I think the writing is great. There's not really anything spicy about this book. So it's kind of nice to see that so far. We'll see what happens in this last 47%. But I am listening to it on audio while I'm crocheting And so I'm going to keep going and hopefully finish this book tonight and then go from there. But I'll check in soon.
I've got a friend in Jesus, and I know He will see you through.
Hello everyone. I am going to do something I don't want to say will regret, but I am going to participate in something that I don't really need to participate in, and that is the Romance Stuff Your Kindle Day. Today it's June 20th, and there's a lot of romance books that are for free from Kindle. Most of them currently are probably on KU, and I'm okay with that normally, just using KU, but why not fill my Kindle up with books to read later? I am skipping over the young adult romance. Just has turned out not to be me lately in the past, and so I'm just gonna move on from that and go from there. I've already found one so far that interests me. That's New Witch on the Block. It's the first book in the series, and it's Practical Magic meets Gilmore Girls. So I thought, why not try it? I am not going to start reading these right this moment, but I am going to sit here and stuff my Kindle for just a little bit, and then and eat my soup, and then go from there. I did finish Summer of the Songbirds last night. Such a wonderful title. I definitely am going to give it at least 4.5 stars. I'm leaning toward 4.75. It has so much in it that I love from contemporary books. It's that nostalgic feel with it. The writing is great. And you have that growth that comes with all of us when you're ranging from 6 years old to 30 years old. And it's just so sweet and so encouraging of a book. So, gonna give it at least 4.5, probably 4.75, and go from there. I will probably read Summer Skies next, but I'll have to see how I feel after I finish stuffing my Kindle and doing the other things I need to do today. One thing that is happening today that normally doesn't happen for us is the library is having their young adult D&D night, and so I am going to take my daughter up to go play an hour and a half or so of D&D and see if she enjoys doing that with that group, and we'll go from there. But I will check in a little while. this blanket. I'm actually halfway through the first round of The Border, and I am listening to The Summer Skies by, who is it by? Jenny Colgan. I'm enjoying this one a lot. I'm actually 40% in and didn't want to pause when I hit a third of the way like I normally do, just because I was so captivated in what's going on. So this story is about a pilot, but not about piloting per se. There's a whole author's note with the at the beginning of the audiobook, and I'm really enjoying what's going on here. So we have our main character. Oh my goodness, I can't believe I have forgotten her name. Like, I was just listening to it. Morag McIntyre is what it is. She's a third generation pilot and had an incident in Spain. The book opens up with this incident, and it kind of shakes her as a pilot, and she goes home and is supposed to be helping out flying, but isn't exactly comfortable doing so. And so she keeps telling the pilot she's first mate. She is not the pilot. And so she's the co-pilot, basically, is what it is. And all is fine until the pilot has a medical emergency as a storm is blowing in, and Morag is having to land this plane in an emergency situation. And so with that, I think it's going to turn to a romance from here. On this island that she just had to land on is an island that is preserved, and so they can only land there to drop off supplies. People don't get dropped off. People don't really visit except for short, like, couple-hour trips, and normally then it's by ferry, not by plane. And so it's just this preserved area, and there is a crotchety man who they had dropped off earlier in the season, who's there to study the wildlife. And I think we're turning to that direction of them being in forced proximity and going to have to overcome their difficulties. I am going to try to get the other half of this first row of The Border done. It is 11 p.m. so I've got to get ready for bed, but I also need to get this blanket done before 10 a.m. tomorrow. So we're gonna see how this goes, but I will check in later. I have now finished The Summer Skies by Jenny Colgan. That was such a cute book. It turned out very much along the lines of what I thought it would, but at the same time, with everything I have going on, having a comfort read. I almost wanted to call it a predictable read, but it's not really. It was just a very comfortable read. You there were no huge plot twists or anything crazy going on. So it was great to have that. And I was able just to kind of relax as I read or as I listened to the book and crocheted or played Frozen Freefall for many, many hours. Yeah, so really cute book though. I think I'm gonna give it 4.25 stars. The writing was great. I loved the characters. They were very relatable. The only thing is I know that this book isn't going to be for everyone. A lot of people are gonna, if you go into it in the wrong mind frame, it could really, really ruin your day. But overall, great read. Really enjoyed it. I'm not quite sure if my favorite character was Frances or Barbara. They were both hilarious though. So, with that, I'm gonna look at my list, see what I have. I'm kind of leaning toward pulling up Spotify and listening to When the Moon Hatched, which is the book for the stay-at-home mom book club. And I have zero idea what this book is about. And the title just really intrigues me. I've seen a lot of blurbs about it. So I'm leaning toward that one or The Matchmakers of Minnow Bay, which is a woman finds out that she is not divorced through certain circumstances, and it is going back to basically get said divorce, and she finds out that her ex has done a lot of growing up, I guess is the way to say it. But I'm not quite sure. I'm gonna look and see if I can find the audio for that one. If not, then I definitely will probably do When the Moon Hatched, because I have two baskets that I'm trying to crochet right now. So I will check in later. Alright, so last I talked to you, I was getting ready to start my next book. And I went with The Matchmakers of Minnow Bay. And then I didn't update you guys any further. So, Matchmakers of Minnow Bay, the premise is we have a woman who finds her annulment paperwork and finds that her annulment from 10 years had not happened. And so she hunts down the guy and goes to basically apologize and make it right. And this is in a little town called Minnow Bay, where everyone are basically busybodies. Overall, I thought it was a cute book. I did not like how the end felt rushed. We have all of this setup for it, and then we get to the climax of the book, and then it just ends. I mean, everything's resolved, but it just ends. So overall, I'm probably gonna give it a 3.5 star. I did I did really enjoy everything else, though. I listened to the audiobook and didn't want to stop listening to it once I started it. Thus the reason there was no update. And that leads me to my next book, which is All the Days of Summer. I've started this one. I'm about 30 pages in. This is by Nancy Thayer. The premise is we have a woman has decided that her happiness is more important than anything else, and decides to divorce her husband and move to Nantucket. So far, I cannot get past the selfishness that I see in this book. You have the woman is, I've done all of this for you, now I'm gonna live for me. Her son has graduated college and is trying to fly the nest, and he has changed his plans and no longer wants to work in the family business, instead working with his girlfriend's family business. And through this, it's Dad won't let me do anything. I don't have any other words other than selfish and self-centered. For almost all of the characters, even the fiance or the girlfriend of the son, we get some things from her point of perspective, and it's all about her. I think that this book would be different for me if it were set somewhere different. It's one of those that it feels almost like if you know Nantucket and you grew up in that area, you can kind of overlook some of the characters' flaws and their attitudes, but at the moment, I'm just not enjoying it. I'm going to give it a little bit longer. I normally try to get about 25% through. The book's 300 pages, so I'll try to get 75 pages in. And if I'm still not enjoying it, I'm going to DNF it, because life's just too short to read books that you aren't enjoying. So I'm going to get back to it, and I will check in soon. Alright, so I am 150 pages in to All the Days of Summer, and I haven't DNF'd yet. Something very important has gotten lost, and the entire time I've been sitting here telling them to look in this one spot, because I'm 90% sure it's there, and that this whole thing is just to make drama. So I am going to keep reading, at least to find out if this lost item is where I think it is, because, heaven forbid you look in all the places. So I'm going to keep reading at least for a little longer in this one, but I'm going to go to bed for tonight. So I will see you, or talk to you guys tomorrow. Alright, so I have finished All the Days of Summer. Overall, I was disappointed in this book. The last 3 or 4 chapters, it's a lot better, but that doesn't make up for everything else. The book was very predictable to me. The thing I thought had happened did not happen, but the lost item still was retrieved eventually, or found eventually, and happily ever after. I don't mind happily ever afters. I don't mind romance. I will say it was a little weird to see the mom's romance and the son's romance both being open door. It was weird. It's not from the son's point of view, so maybe that makes it a little better. I don't know. Overall, I'm gonna give it a 3-star. I did not hate it. I did not love it. But I also feel like I'm not the targeted audience here. I think if I had been to Nantucket or grew up in Nantucket, I would enjoy this a lot more. Or if I read more books about Nantucket, maybe even. There's a lot of that kind of sightseeing, and so that's a lot of fun. One other book I had read with that, I'm trying to see if I can find it. Maybe I don't have a copy of it. I don't know. Was, oh, no, I do have it. Peston's Geekerella. That one, like, it took place in Charleston, South Carolina, and because I live here, it was a lot of fun to kind of see those places in a book. Same with Grady Hendrix, How to Sell a Haunted House, and A Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires. Those take place in the area. Or How to Sell a Haunted House does not. I'm sorry, that one's up north. But A Southern Girl's Guide to Slaying Vampires took place in a nearby town. So when they go to downtown Charleston, we're seeing things that are there. We're seeing the history of the area. So it was a lot of fun. Though that book was a lot of fun for me. Same with Geekerella, because I could make connections with it, even though they might have been just kind of so-so for other readers. And that's how I felt about this one. All the Days of Summer. I think had it been a book of a place that I knew, I would have enjoyed it more. But it is what it is, and I am going to end this vlog here because we are now at just over a week of vlogging here. But I got 5 books read, and I need to mark them off. I'm only going to be able to mark 4 books off on this because some of them, or one of them, didn't really fit anything. So I'm pulling those 4 books down. Alright, so looking at my thing, for an arc, I started with 15 Summers Later. I had the e-arc for that, finished it the day it was released. A lot of fun with that one. Then the Summer of Songbirds, I'm going to mark for Set on a Lake. This one takes place at a camp that has a lake, and they even go sailing on it. Set at a Beach, I am, since I did finish it, going to count all the days of summer. which takes place on Nantucket. One of our main characters, Heather, goes for a walk on the beach every day. So I am counting that as a set at the beach, even though we don't really see the beach as a main setting plot point, I guess. And then the last one that I'm going to mark up there is The Summer Skies. This takes place in Scotland, and ever since I read Outlander in high school, being the first book, I've wanted to go to Scotland and just see some of these places. So that leaves The Matchmakers of Minnow Bay. I didn't have a spot for that to go. It was a little too hard-hitting for me to count it as a rom-com. It is definitely not a debut. And it doesn't have fruit on the cover or anything, so it doesn't really fit anything else. And I don't remember why I picked it. I didn't pick it because of the cover, so I can't do a cover pick. But I did pick it last month in June. Anyway, so I'm going to mark off those 4, and I'm going to end this vlog here, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!